Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about mangroves. Here in the Indian River Lagoon, this part of the Indian River Lagoon, we find three species, and I want to show you and talk a little bit about each species. The first one I want to talk to you about is the red mangrove, and you see this one right here. This tree, this plant, grows closest to the water. It actually grows out over the water. Notice there at the bottom, those are called prop roots. They extend out over the water and the plant grows above it. Now, in this sort of situation, there's a big problem. The red mangrove has to deal with lots of salt, and it has to remove the salt in order to use the water for photosynthesis and other metabolic activities. And the way that it does it, it removes the salt and it stores it in its leaves. And you see all these dark green leaves right here. See them? And these leaves are constantly building up with salt, and when too much salt accumulates, they simply fall off. And they fall to the ground and start being broken down by bacteria. And you look in here, you can see all the leaves and so forth. All right, when you look at this flower, after pollination, the new seed starts to grow, and you see one here starting. Here's one back here that starts to, you can see even longer. Metaphors actually will turn into germinated plants and then fall off after they've started to germinate, and then float in the water, the salt water, for weeks, months, maybe years, until they find the right place and start growing again. So this is the red mangrove. Now, the next one I want to show you is the black mangrove, and it looks like this here is a very small black mangrove, slightly different leaves. I'll tear one off here. You can see the difference. A little farther away from the water, notice it's growing more right there on the edge. Sometimes you find them even farther back. There's another one growing back here somewhere. You can see all these little roots sticking up in the air. They're called pneumatophores. And the idea is that because this ground has so much organic matter in it, the bacteria are decomposing and remove all the oxygen, so the soil is anoxic without oxygen. And the roots, because they're alive and they're growing, they need oxygen. Yes, the roots need oxygen. And so therefore these little pneumatophores stick up into the air so they can get the roots, they can get the, the air, oxygen that they need. One way to tell these leaves, if you look at the back side of the leaves, they look silverish in color. Maybe you can kind of see that right there. And just like the red mangrove, they have to remove the salt from the water, and they do so, and they excrete it on the outside of their leaves, and quite often you can actually see salt crystals growing. I don't think I can see any right now. Maybe there's a few right there you can kind of see. These salt crystals. Yes, see there. Those are salt crystals. Hopefully you can see those. All right, that's the black mangrove, growing a little farther in from the water than the red. The last one I wanted to show you is the white mangrove. Again, growing a little farther in than even the black. Here's one right here that I'm walking towards. Oh, here's another red mangrove. You can see the prop roots there growing down. Here's the white mangrove. Leaves are a lot lighter in color and more oval shaped, perhaps, you can kind of tell. And if I tear off one of these leaves and you look right there at the base, there's two little like pits. They're called nectaries, and it's these structures there where the white mangrove releases the salt. Doesn't need to release as much salt because again it's growing much further in. So right here in this area we have the white, we have the black we saw over there, we have the red, more red, and as I walk down along this area we see more. Here's a clump right here in front of me. If we look high up there, we can see some of the black mangrove. Right down here, we see some of the white mangrove again sticking out. Yeah, very cool. All right, I hope you enjoyed this quick lesson. Talk to you later. Wow, I guess you thought I was done. Not quite. Walking back to my truck, I just happened to see another red mangrove, which has a really neat structure I wanted to show you. So take a look at this. These roots that are growing like that, these are called aerial roots. And similar function as the prop roots. You can see some older ones here, but they grow downward. And eventually they reach the sediment, the bottom, the seafloor. And then they start to put out other roots, and they help support them. But while they're still up in the air, we call them aerial roots.